Tonight, I wanted to go back and talk about the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is the 40th anniversary of that movie being out. Yeah, it came out in 1981. And it is probably my favorite movie. Indiana Jones is definitely my favorite movie character. The way Harrison Ford just brought him to life is iconic. From just Steven Spielberg directing, George Lucas producing, Lawrence Kasdan's writing, Harrison Ford's acting, to John Williams' score. To me, it is the best theatrical movie ever released. It's got the perfect action. It comes down enough for you to kind of process what just happened. Because Indy, he goes through multiple different life-threatening situations. One of the best things about this movie, it's the opening. It opens, when it first begins, you've got, Alfred Molina's character is bringing in Indiana Jones, and you don't even know who this character is. Picture going back and seeing this in 1981. You have no clue who the character is. Of course, you've probably seen trailers, but you have no clue what this hero is capable of. We see him kind of go through. He's real quiet. We see him go through. He's pretty smart. He's this treasure hunter. He goes in, gets in. The best thing about this, our hero, our protagonist, is that he's not perfect. He's constantly getting himself in trouble. He's constantly finding ways to get out of it. It's just a beautiful movie, and a lot of it still holds up today. Some of the effects were state-of-the-art in 1981, and they're going to look a little dated, but that's the effects. The regular shot movies with a lot of the practical effects, that stuff still holds up today. It's just a fantastic movie. It's definitely one of those movies where anytime I see it on, I watch the rest of it. That and The Last Crusade. It's a magnificent movie. Lucas once said, I wanted to make a movie that I wanted to watch. One of the first things that they set out to do was to have fun. And it shows. This movie is borderline perfect. I love it. It's everybody knows a lot of the stories behind it, right? Like, Tom Selleck was originally going to be Indiana Jones, and you can actually find video out there of him screen testing for the part, but they thought they had their Indiana Jones. But, he was doing Magnum PI at the time. And so at first, the studio for Magnum PI was like, okay, we'll let him work around the schedule and we'll let him go. And so they actually halted Raiders of the Lost Ark's production so that they could have him come. And then, CBS, who was doing it, they're like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to kind of hold him to this show and make him, do Magnum PI. We don't want people to get confused. So they lost their Indiana Jones. Steven Spielberg kind of had Harrison Ford in mind the whole time. And he went to George Lucas and asked him, hey, what about Harrison? And George Lucas was like, I don't want him to be my Robert De Niro, where I put him in everything. But after the whole Tom Selleck thing fell through, they had to go get Harrison Ford, which is phenomenal. I could probably see Tom Selleck, playing that role. It wouldn't be the same by any means, but he was charming in his own right. I think he could have done a good job, but Harrison just embodies that role, right? Karen Allen is perfect as Marion Ravenwood. It's like I said, I think it's the perfect theatrical movie. The John Williams score just sets it apart from everything. Obviously he has iconic music everywhere. Jaws, Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones. He's magnificent. You could cue up Superman. He did Superman too. But Lawrence Kasdan, they brought him in. So they got together, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and Lawrence Kasdan. They get together in a room, record themselves. There's actually audio files out there talking about where they're going to, this is what we want to do with the movie. And so they talked for 3 days. And then they just sent Lawrence out to write the script. And he kind of kept it true. And when I say he wrote the script, he wrote the script. He didn't use a typewriter back then. He manually wrote all this stuff out. I mean, they set out to make kind of an homage to the old pulp action serials and kind of, leave little cliffhangers, and so you can kind of break this movie down in a bunch of little cliffhangers. It's just a wonderful movie. If I was going to rate this movie, I would definitely give it a 5 out of 5. I mean, I would push the point scale way beyond on this one. I'm not even reviewing this movie as much as just fanboying like crazy over it. It's just a wonderful movie. It is my favorite movie. It's the movie that got me into films to begin with. The character's just so iconic. I loved it. I still do. I'm stoked for the new Indiana Jones movie. I know a lot of people, they're real, careful about getting into it, but bring it on. I mean, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was a disappointment, yes, but I was excited to go and see it. You can't stifle that excitement. It's just a beautiful thing, and that character excites me. I love it. I love it so much. One of the things I learned recently is the character of Sala, played by John Rhys Davies, who is fantastic in that role. Originally, they wanted Danny DeVito in that role. Obviously, I don't know how it would have gone with Danny DeVito playing it, but he couldn't get out of filming. He was filming his show Taxi back then, and he just couldn't get out of that commitment. So they had to look elsewhere, and they found John Rhys Davies, who was a wonderful addition to the movie. He was just fantastic. But man, I mean, the movie's wonderful. I would highly recommend going and watching it, whenever you have an ability to. If you have it on Blu-ray, pop it in and watch it. If it's streaming on Paramount Plus, if you want to go watch it on Paramount Plus, it's just a fantastic movie. I believe it is the perfect theatrical movie, just from you being able to just sit there, click off your mind, just watch it, eat popcorn, and just love everything about it. From just the action that starts off at the very beginning with you not knowing who our hero is, to just the score just really bringing you into the movie and giving you goosebumps every time it ramps up. It's just a fantastic movie. Go watch it. I really want to know how much you love it, because I don't really think it's got to be a very rarity for people who don't like the movie. So I want to know how much you do love it, because it is a fantastic movie. So please let me know in the comments, how you like the movie, and if you're going to rewatch it, knowing this is the 40th anniversary of it. It's just a great movie. I'll see you next time.